Contraband Empire: How one prisoner ran a black market behind bars. The prison yard was silent when the first spotlight cut through the dark. Boots slammed against concrete. Radios crackled. "Move in, all units, move in now." Officers in black tactical gear stormed through the cell blocks of Georgia State Prison, kicking down doors before dawn. It was supposed to be a surprise inspection, but what they found that morning in 2017 shocked even the most hardened investigators. Hidden inside the cell of one inmate, Anthony "Tone" Richards, was not just a phone or a few cigarettes. It was an entire command center. Multiple cell phones, SIM cards, ledgers filled with names and numbers, and a stack of money orders. Tone had been running what agents later called a $1 million empire, a full-scale black market operating entirely behind bars. Using smuggled phones, he directed drug deals, ordered contraband shipments, and even managed bank transfers from inside his cell. When the officers checked the call logs on his phones, they found hundreds of contacts, including guards, civilians, and even family members who acted as runners on the outside. The evidence showed a network so deep it looked more like a corporate operation than a prison scheme. Every move was tracked in notebooks, each coded entry hiding a secret deal. Tone didn't just survive prison, he ruled it. Federal agents were called in immediately. The Georgia Department of Corrections had never seen anything this big. The discovery sparked a statewide investigation that would later expose a shocking truth. Dozens of inmates across Georgia prisons were working together, using phones to run illegal trades worth millions of dollars. And at the center of it all, one man, Tone, was calling the shots.
But before he became the king of contraband, Tone was just another inmate with nothing to lose. His story didn't start with power, it started with desperation. Years earlier, before the empire, before the fame among inmates, he was a quiet prisoner who watched and learned. He noticed things others ignored: the slow guards, the delivery trucks that came and went, the small packages that slipped through with no questions asked. It started small: a pack of cigarettes smuggled in by a new guard who needed extra cash. Then came phone chargers, prepaid SIM cards, and finally, the phones themselves. Tone's mind worked like a businessman's. He knew how to build trust, how to hide trails, and how to make everyone feel like they were part of something bigger. Soon, he had a crew, cellmates who would handle money transfers, stash goods, and deliver messages. Outside the walls, Tone's cousin handled the rest. She received orders, picked up packages, and coordinated with drivers who dropped off items disguised as food deliveries. Each phone call Tone made from inside was coded. "Send 2 pizzas tonight" meant 2 packages of meth were being delivered. "New shoes came in" meant the next batch of phones had arrived. Every word was a signal in a secret language only his people understood. But as the business grew, so did the danger. The more Tone made, the more eyes were watching. Some guards wanted a cut, some inmates wanted revenge, and some people outside were getting nervous because Tone's money trail led far beyond the prison walls. Unknown to him, federal agents had already started tracing suspicious payments and intercepted text messages that mentioned "the boss." That was Tone's nickname on the inside. One night, as Tone lay on his bunk scrolling through messages on his smuggled phone, he didn't know that the same phone was being tracked. Every call, every text, every order, it was all being recorded. The next morning, as the sirens blared and the cell doors flew open, the empire he built with so much secrecy began to crumble. But the question still burned in everyone's mind: how could a single prisoner create a system that fooled the entire Department of Corrections for years? What kind of network existed behind those bars, powerful enough to rival organized crime on the streets? As the agents gathered more evidence and questioned guards who had looked the other way, one shocking discovery would change everything. The phones weren't just tools, they were weapons. And what they found next would expose just how deep the corruption inside Georgia's prisons truly went. The interrogation room smelled of stale coffee and sweat. A single light hung over the table where Officer Jenkins sat, hands shaking as federal agents pressed him for answers. Jenkins had been a corrections officer for 7 years, the kind who was supposed to keep order behind bars. But investigators already had proof he was part of the very chaos he was paid to stop.
Let's make this simple.
One agent said, sliding a photo across the table. It showed Jenkins passing a small black bag through a cell door, caught on a hidden camera. Inside that bag was SIM cards, drugs, and a charger. The same items found later in Anthony "Tone" Richards' cell. Jenkins lowered his head. "You don't understand," he muttered. "Everyone's doing it." And he wasn't lying. What began as one inmate's hustle had turned into a network that reached far beyond prison walls. Investigators discovered that at least a dozen guards were smuggling in contraband in exchange for cash, while others were turning a blind eye for fear of retaliation. Some officers even delivered items on their days off, meeting Tone's outside associates in parking lots or gas stations, trading packages for envelopes full of money. Each deal fed the empire. Inside, Tone's word was law. If you needed protection, he could arrange it. If you needed a phone, a hit, or a line of credit, Tone's crew handled it. He was untouchable, or so it seemed. Inmates respected him, guards feared him, and everyone knew you didn't cross Tone Richards. But federal agents were closing in. Using call records from his seized phones, they connected Tone to more than 300 illegal money transfers, all laundered through prepaid debit cards and fake business names. The scheme stretched from Georgia to Texas, even reaching as far as California. It was organized crime, operating under the nose of the state government. Investigators spent months tracing every lead. They tapped phones, followed money trails, and recruited insiders. One of them was a young inmate named Malik, a former member of Tone's inner circle who'd been caught with a phone. Facing new charges, Malik agreed to cooperate. "He ran everything like a company," Malik said in a recorded interview. "We called him boss. You don't talk unless he says talk. You don't move unless he says move." Malik described the hierarchy: runners, couriers, accountants, enforcers, each one reporting to Tone through coded messages. They used WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and even fake online businesses to hide their activities. The level of control was terrifying. Tone managed deliveries, payments, and punishments, all from a 6x8 cell. But the empire was starting to crack. When agents flipped one of Tone's outside contacts, they found ledgers showing more than $3 million in illegal profits, all from behind bars. Even worse, some of the money came from scams targeting innocent people on the outside. Romance scams, fake job offers, and identity theft. Tone's network had reached everyday Americans who had no idea they were being conned by a man in prison. As word of the investigation spread, the prison system went on lockdown. Dozens of inmates were moved. Phones were confiscated by the hundreds. But for every phone seized, 2 more appeared. Guards whispered that new shipments were still getting in. Proof that someone, somewhere, was protecting the flow. Tone, meanwhile, kept calm. From his cell, he wrote notes on scrap paper, giving orders to his loyal men. "Stay quiet," one note read. "No one talks, no one folds." He believed he could outsmart the system again. But what Tone didn't know was that the agents had gone deeper. They were now inside his circle. The FBI had turned one of his most trusted men, who was secretly recording every conversation. Late one night, as Tone whispered plans to move phones to another block, his own words were being transmitted live to a federal command center miles away. Agents listened in silence as he detailed how to smuggle new devices through a food delivery truck and how to pay off a guard named Reed. By morning, a full-scale operation was ready. The next delivery would be the end of the empire. But as the sting operation went into motion, something unexpected happened. The truck driver scheduled to make the drop vanished. The phones disappeared. And Tone somehow knew everything before it even happened. Someone inside the investigation was leaking information.
The hunters were now being hunted.
Rain poured over the razor wire as thunder rolled above Georgia State Prison. Inside, tension buzzed like electricity. Federal agents had spent weeks setting up a sting that was supposed to bring down Anthony "Tone" Richards for good. But the plan had fallen apart. Someone had tipped him off, and that meant one thing. There was a leak inside law enforcement. In a small monitoring room, Agent Diaz slammed his fist on the desk. "How did he know?" he barked. "Only 6 people knew about that truck." But before anyone could answer, another agent shouted, "We've got movement in Block D." On the surveillance screen, Tone was pacing in his cell, whispering to another inmate. He looked calm, too calm, like a man who knew the storm was coming, but had already found a shelter. Tone's empire had taken a hit, but it wasn't dead. With half his crew locked up and guards under investigation, he still had loyal soldiers. Phones were still moving through the system, not through guards anymore, but through maintenance workers, nurses, and even chaplains. The network had grown its own roots, and Tone, even from isolation, was still in control. But this time, the agents weren't alone. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation had joined forces with the FBI, planning undercover officers inside the prison itself. One of them, posing as a new correctional officer, earned Tone's trust over weeks. His name was Mason, and he was the key to ending the empire once and for all. Mason started small. He helped deliver small favors, snacks, extra phone time, things Tone could use to test his loyalty. Slowly, Tone opened up. He started talking again, bragging about the phones he still had hidden in the walls, about the outside people who owed him money, and about how the feds couldn't touch him. One night, Tone made his mistake. He handed Mason a folded piece of paper, in order to move new contraband phones through the kitchen supply truck. What Tone didn't know was that Mason had been wearing a hidden camera. The paper was the final piece of evidence the FBI needed. At dawn, the raid began. This time, there were no warnings, no leaks. Every block was hit at once. Officers stormed through the corridors, flipping bunks, tearing through mattresses, seizing phones, cash, and notes. Inside Tone's cell, they found 3 hidden phones, tucked inside a fake electrical socket, still warm from charging. When the door swung open, Tone stood still, hands behind his back, a faint smile on his face. "Guess you finally caught up," he said. The empire had fallen, but even behind bars, Tone refused to speak. Investigators spent months piecing together every message, every dollar, every name. In total, more than 50 people, guards, inmates, and civilians, were charged. Millions of dollars were traced to fraud schemes and drug deals. The investigation revealed how deep the corruption went, not just in one prison, but across the entire Georgia prison system. One FBI agent later said, "It wasn't just a smuggling ring. It was organized crime, built inside a prison, powered by cell phones." When the trials ended, Tone was transferred to a maximum security federal facility, locked down 23 hours a day. But rumors spread that his influence still reached beyond the walls. Some said he was sending messages through coded letters. Others believe his network still operated quietly, waiting for a new leader to rise. Outside, the state launched reforms, body scanners, new phone jamming technology, stricter guard checks. Yet even as new systems were installed, contraband continued to flow. A year later, investigators found more smuggled phones, proof that the empire's shadow still lingered. And deep inside his cell, Tone sat quietly, staring at the wall, the ghost of his empire still alive in his mind. His voice echoed in one of his last recorded calls before the raid, a message that summed up his rule: "You can lock the body, but you can't cage the hustle." The line became legend among inmates, a symbol of how power once tasted never truly dies. As the screen fades to black, one chilling truth remains. Behind bars or not, the business of contraband never stops. In a world built to keep people locked away, one man proved that power doesn't need freedom, just opportunity. From a single cell, Anthony "Tone" Richards built an empire that rivaled the streets. But in the end, every empire falls, and every secret, no matter how deep, finds the light. This was Contraband Empire, how one prisoner ran a black market behind bars. Some crimes happen in the streets, others are born behind bars.